Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
The tapestry of human history is woven with threads of migration, conquest, and cultural evolution, yet few chapters are as haunting and transformative as the era of European colonization. This period, spanning several centuries, was marked by exploration, exploitation, and domination, leaving an indelible scar on the landscapes and peoples it touched. Among the most devastating consequences of this era was the systematic erasure of Black native populations across continents, a process that not only destroyed lives but also obliterated histories, languages, and identities. The story of this erasure is one of loss and resilience, where the echoes of forgotten cultures still reverberate in the face of denial and marginalization. To understand how European colonization erased Black natives, we must first acknowledge their existence, a fact often obscured or denied by Eurocentric historical narratives. Black native populations thrived across vast territories long before the arrival of European colonizers. From the Americas to Australia, Asia, and the African continent itself, these communities had established sophisticated societies, deeply rooted in their environments and rich in cultural traditions. Yet their histories have been systematically erased, their contributions minimized, and their existence relegated to footnotes in the annals of history. This erasure was not an incidental byproduct of colonization, but a deliberate strategy designed to justify European domination. By denying the humanity and sovereignty of Black natives, colonizers constructed a moral framework that enabled the exploitation of their lands and resources. The mechanisms of this erasure were manifold, ranging from physical annihilation to cultural assimilation and historical revisionism. The result was a profound and enduring impact, reshaping the identities of entire continents and distorting the global understanding of race, culture, and civilization. Before European ships crossed the Atlantic, Indian Ocean, and Pacific, the world was a mosaic of interconnected civilizations. Black native populations were integral to this global landscape, their history spanning millennia and their contributions influencing the development of art, science, and governance. In the Americas, for example, the presence of Black indigenous communities has been a subject of scholarly debate, with evidence suggesting pre-Columbian transatlantic contact. In Australia, the Aboriginal peoples, often described as the oldest continuous culture on Earth, were predominantly Black, their deep connection to the land shaping their spiritual and social systems. Across Africa, Black societies flourished, with kingdoms and empires such as Nubia, Mali, and Great Zimbabwe standing as testaments to their ingenuity and resilience. The arrival of Europeans disrupted these societies in ways that were catastrophic and irreversible. Colonization was not merely a process of conquest, but an ideological campaign to rewrite the world's history. By portraying themselves as bringers of civilization, Europeans dismissed the achievements of Black natives, relegating them to the realm of the savage and the primitive. This dehumanization served as a pretext for their subjugation and exploitation, laying the groundwork for centuries of systemic erasure. The erasure of Black natives was a multifaceted process, encompassing physical, cultural, and historical dimensions. At its core was the violent displacement and annihilation of populations. In the Americas, the genocide of indigenous peoples, including Black natives, decimated communities, leaving only fragments of their cultures behind. Diseases introduced by Europeans, to which native populations had no immunity, ravaged entire societies, while enslavement and warfare completed the destruction. In Australia, the arrival of British colonizers marked the beginning of what many have termed a Black genocide, with Aboriginal populations systematically reduced through violence, displacement, and forced assimilation. Cultural erasure was equally devastating. Languages, traditions, and spiritual practices were suppressed, replaced by European norms and values. In many cases, Black natives were forcibly removed from their lands and relocated to missions or reservations, where they were subjected to re-education programs designed to strip them of their identities. These policies were not limited to Australia or the Americas. Similar practices were implemented across Africa and parts of Asia, where European powers sought to impose their cultures on colonized populations. Historical revisionism played a critical role in the erasure of Black natives. By controlling the narrative, European colonizers were able to marginalize or erase the contributions of Black indigenous peoples from historical records. Ancient monuments and artifacts were misattributed or dismissed, their significance downplayed to fit the colonial narrative. In some cases, entire histories were fabricated to justify European supremacy, portraying Black natives as incapable of creating advanced societies. The erasure of Black natives has had profound and lasting effects, shaping the socio-political and cultural landscapes of colonized regions. In the Americas, the denial of Black indigeneity has contributed to a fragmented understanding of racial and cultural identities. Indigenous and Afro-descendant communities are often pitted against each other, obscuring their shared histories and struggles. In Australia, the marginalization of Aboriginal peoples continues to this day, with systemic inequalities and cultural disconnection persisting despite efforts at reconciliation. In Africa, the legacy of colonization has manifested in the erasure of pre-colonial histories and the imposition of Eurocentric narratives. The continent's rich tapestry of cultures and civilizations has been overshadowed by the colonial emphasis on tribal divisions and primitiveness. This distortion has not only undermined the self-perception of African peoples, but also influenced global attitudes towards the continent, perpetuating stereotypes of poverty and backwardness. Despite these challenges, the resilience of Black Native communities offers hope and inspiration. Across the globe, there are efforts to reclaim and preserve indigenous histories, languages, and traditions. From grassroots movements to academic research, these initiatives seek to challenge the narratives imposed by colonization and restore the dignity and humanity of Black natives. Addressing the erasure of Black natives requires a multifaceted approach, combining education, activism, and policy reform. Central to this effort is the acknowledgement of historical injustices and the inclusion of Black Native perspectives in historical narratives. This involves revisiting and revising existing histories, highlighting the contributions and experiences of marginalized communities, and promoting a more inclusive understanding of the past. Education plays a crucial role in this process. By integrating the histories of Black natives into school curricula, we can foster a deeper appreciation for their cultures and contributions. This requires collaboration between educators, historians, and community leaders to develop materials that accurately reflect the diversity and complexity of human history. Public awareness campaigns and cultural programs can also help to challenge stereotypes and promote understanding, creating spaces for dialogue and reflection. Activism and advocacy are equally important in addressing the systemic inequalities faced by Black Native communities. This includes supporting land rights, cultural preservation, and social justice initiatives, as well as challenging discriminatory policies and practices. By amplifying the voices of Black natives, we can ensure that their stories are heard and their rights are respected. Policy reform is essential in addressing the structural barriers that perpetuate the marginalization of Black natives. Governments must take responsibility for the legacies of colonization, implementing measures to promote equity and inclusion. This includes investing in education, healthcare, and economic development, as well as recognizing and protecting the cultural heritage of Black Native communities. The erasure of Black natives is one of the most insidious legacies of European colonization, a process that has reshaped the world's history and identities. Yet, amidst the devastation, there is resilience and hope. By acknowledging the past and working towards a more inclusive and equitable future, we can honor the memory of those who were erased and ensure that their stories are never forgotten. In reclaiming the histories of Black natives, we not only restore their dignity, but also enrich our collective understanding of the human experience. The journey towards justice is long and arduous, but it is a journey worth undertaking, for it is only through understanding and reconciliation that we can build a world where all voices are heard and all histories are valued.